Hello and welcome to Absolute Trust Talk. I am Kirsten Howe. I'm the host of today's episode, and I'm very happy that you're here today. This has been a crazy week with heavy, heavy rain. We had some snow on Mount Diablo. Hope you got a chance to see that. I grew up in Illinois, and there everybody has a basement, and every basement has a sump pump. And when it rains like that, that's when the sump pump decides to break down. Hopefully that didn't happen to you. It seems like here really what we get is ants in the kitchen when it rains. I'm very excited about this episode today. I'm excited about all my episodes, but this one is just so timely. I think we're going to share some really great information right at the moment when people can really use it. Of course, next week is Christmas, when a lot of people will possibly be seeing their parents for the first time in a couple of years. Thank you, COVID. We'll be talking today about what to do when you arrive home and you discover your parents aren't doing as well as you thought they were. This episode is going to be just full of really great advice, tips on what to do, and maybe most importantly, the best way to talk about these issues with your parents. My guest today is Linda Fodrini-Johnson. Linda has been a licensed family therapist and professional certified care manager since 1984. She was the president of the National Association of Professional Geriatric Care Managers, which is now called Aging Life Care Association. And she's very well known in the Bay Area as the founder of Elder Care Services, which is a full service care agency. They provide care management, home care, counseling, advocacy, support groups, all kinds of things, and most especially near and dear to Linda's heart, education. She was director of the Dementia Respite Center, one of the first in the Bay Area, and she pioneered the multi-award-winning early stage dementia program. And now she has retired from her company, Elder Care Services, but she continues to consult with couples, families, adult children of aging parents, and as well as providing therapy for individuals. She conducts free monthly dementia Zoom classes. She publishes a newsletter. She has support groups, all kinds of things. She just doesn't seem to want to retire. And her Elder Care Services has been featured in many, many publications locally here. Of course, the Contra Costa Times, East Bay Business Times, San Francisco Business Times, but also nationally, Consumer Reports, Forbes, Kiplinger's, USA Today, and the Wall Street Journal. Linda was a guest on one of our earliest episodes years ago when we just started out. And you can find that episode if you'd like to listen to it on our website or wherever you get podcasts. If she's now here today to talk about her new book, which is called The Empowered Caregiver, and it just came out in October. It is written for adult children who are trying to take care of their elderly parents, and it's just full of, quick ideas that you can implement right away, lists, scripts, how do you talk to the doctor, what kind of questions should you be asking, and just a really great resource. So welcome, Linda. Thank you for being here. I'm so honored that you've agreed to come back.
Well, thanks. And it's so timely and important. So I'm glad to be here.
Yeah. So very, very timely. People are probably, in the next few days going to be heading to the airport, or maybe they're taking a long drive and they can listen to this episode on the way. That would be even greater. But just to kind of get started, prepare our listeners, what kinds of things might they observe, or should they be looking for when they go home for the holidays?
Yeah. First of all, I want to say that you've probably picked up on some red flags on the phone conversations. Even if you've had Zoom calls with family, there's little things you're seeing changes of. So you're going to want to zero in on those things. And maybe mom or dad is telling you about some bill that they keep getting over and over again, and they're confused about it. or they deny that they should pay it and it really needs to be paid. The company just changed names. The propane company is a new company, and so they don't want to pay that bill. So there's all kinds of things that you're going to want to play detective and find out information, and maybe not so directly. You want to go to the visit. Definitely, everybody's been COVID vaccinated, and you can hug again. Give a hug. Just kind of get comfortable. Don't go right into the, oh, mom, this kitchen's a disaster, or dad, what happened to the landscaping? Don't go there.
Yeah,
You,
when we were talking earlier, one thing you said that I just thought was so perfect. It was succinct, and it says what you just said is observe and not react yet.
yes.
Just take it in, take it all in.
Take it all in. And maybe you and your siblings, I do a lot of family meetings. So the siblings are all getting together, all talking about their worries and concerns about mom and dad. Let's just say they're in their 80s, maybe 90s. And you've noticed some decline. That independent mom and dad aren't so independent anymore, or they're dependent on one another's. One has deficits in maybe vision, and the other is needed to drive. But the one that needed to drive might have dementia, and they're confused and they're disoriented, but they can drive. So, they kind of together make a whole person. But obviously, they need an intervention to help them stay safe. Actually, that's your goal. You want to keep your parents safe. I'm sure that's your goal. You want to have them to have the best life possible. So, to be successful in any intervention, you're going to be first the detector and the observer of what's going on in the house. Are
Right.
there, lots of clutter? Is there a lot of bills? Is there what's in the refrigerator? That's a great place to know what's going on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you mean like, okay, it looks like there's just Diet Coke in here. I'm not,
I
I'm
I
not
went to
saying,
see a client for the first time once that had no family. She had 3 things in her kitchen and a refrigerator: sweet rolls, lots and lots of bourbon, like 25 bottles of bourbon. This lady weighed less than 100 pounds.
oh my
And
gosh,
paprika, boxes and boxes of paprika, sweet rolls, and whiskey. So that told me a lot about her judgment.
sure.
That's
Yeah.
all she could remember that she thought she needed when she went to
Yeah.
the
And she
grocery
kept
store.
buying it over and over again. Same
Yes,
thing. Yeah.
same thing.
Uh,
So the refrigerator tells you a lot. And again, don't react to what you see there. You might see something that's spoiled that needs to be tossed. You can do that when your parent
when
isn't
they're not
looking.
looking. Yeah.
Yeah, and slowly. You know, don't empty it out all at once.
Yeah. Don't back up a big giant trash can and yeah, just do it
Exactly.
discreetly. Yeah.
Yeah, and if memory and cognition, that's the thing that seems to appear more so in people in their 80s, when they're not able to make good judgment, where you see that maybe they've bought a lot of things on one of the television
Oh,
shopping
like a shopping
channels.
channel. Yeah.
Yes. And so you see bags and boxes of lots of things that have arrived and not been opened. Those are some of your clues that you're picking up. And you might not at this visit even bring that up. And you might at some point in the future want to bring in a professional geriatric care manager, especially if you're at a distance, to do any serious intervention. So what you're doing is just picking up information. And then you have the holiday meal. That is not the time to bring up the you shoulds or I've noticed.
Yeah.
And
Make
and
it an enjoyable holiday meal and
and as
let
much
everybody have a good time. Yeah. It's not
exactly.
about getting things done.
No, it's about loving instead of doing. The
Yeah.
doing is going to happen after the loving, and the loving is going to continue, but
Sure.
it's going to feel like a big job if what you've uncovered is deficits in all of those areas. You see personal care is neglected. You don't see that they've attended medical appointments. And so you're going to have this kind of intervention the next day and ask questions, right? Not during the holiday, but
Okay.
the
Yeah.
next
But
day.
what if what you're seeing is really like a kind of in the moment safety issue? I think you are going to
You
deal with
have to
that in some fashion.
you have
Yeah.
to address all the safety issues exactly first. You see that mom has very serious sores on her legs, you're gonna wanna get her seen at, an emergency room or something like that.
Yeah.
So personal, healthcare issues you wanna address, you see all the medications that look like they're not in order or all poured into one bowl. Lots of different colors. I've
Jelly
seen that
beans.
with
Yeah.
clients. Looks like jelly beans. That's not okay either. That might be
Okay.
causing some of the confusion you're seeing, the medication issue.
So they've got to you've got to, observe and then prioritize.
Prioritize is extremely important, Kristen. And because you're in the legal arena, you're definitely going to want to know what kind of legal planning your parent has done, especially if they own property. Um, so, and that's important. But what's more important, the most critical legal document for me, and maybe you too, Kirsten, is does somebody have an advanced healthcare directive?
Yeah. That
So, as
that is definitely one of my top 2.
yeah,
Yeah.
and in priorities, when I'm working with a family or giving family guidance on what should we work on first, there's so much to do. It's let's get that document, get it filled out, and the prepareforyourcare.org document is from the University of California Regents, and it's my favorite document, and it's a good template to have a conversation around. You
Okay.
don't Your parent doesn't need to use it, you don't need to use it, and it can be used, but you don't need to, and um it's every state is listed there on their probate code language. I
Okay.
think it's probate code that
Yes.
has, I'm
Yeah.
not sure where it's coming from, somewhere in there. Um, and I like to talk when you're going to talk to your parent about this is not about end of life, mom or dad. This is about if you fall and break a hip or if you need surgery,
Mhm, mhm.
that I can talk to the doctor and make sure they know that you're able-minded and bodied. And just because you're 89 doesn't mean you're ready for the glue factory. My grandmother always used to call it the glue
Glue
factory.
factory.
You're not ready for that. But
Yeah.
maybe like my grandmother, as she got closer to the end of her life, she said, this is before an advanced healthcare directive. She said, when the train comes, let me get on. My bags are packed, I'm ready to
I'm
go, and she wasn't depressed,
Yeah, but just
she
don't
was,
hold me back
"Don't hold me back,"
unnecessarily.
but
Yeah.
she had no document to say that. Now we have a document, but
Right.
what's really important about this document, it goes into all those kind of challenging questions like life support, and
Mhm.
blood transfusions and other things that a lot of people might not want, maybe never did want. And other people, I had a client with advanced Parkinson's, and that lady, even though she had a doctor daughter, she wanted everything. She wanted to be on a ventilator. She wanted to live
Mm.
every single day she
Keep me
possibly
keep
could.
me alive no matter what.
But
Yeah.
that's her
There are
values.
Right, and there are people like that, and that's their choice, and they need to make sure everybody knows that's their choice.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
your approach to mom and dad say, "Oh, we don't care, you can make any decision you want." And you kind of have to tell them that, the hospitals now require a document. And I need that in case, I'm called upon to help make a decision
Mhm.
for you. And I need to know what your wishes are. I respect um, your ability to take care of yourself and make good decisions all the way through your life, but I don't want to have to make a decision not knowing what your values are, and a lot of adult children don't know what their parents values
Well,
are.
yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, I have a lot of clients who share everything with their children. The children have copies of all their documents, but
Right.
I have a lot of clients who I know don't want to share with their children or they just haven't. How do you get that started? What is that conversation?
Well, the conversation is you really want to share these things with somebody you trust because life happens. We don't just die. Most of us have some sort of illness
Illness.
or
Mhm.
disability towards the end of our life. And how do you want it, mom or dad? I don't want to make the decisions for you.
Mhm.
So if
Mhm.
we get them in writing for around healthcare, we could do the same thing with finances too, Kirsten. You
Yeah.
know that.
Yeah.
And
That's my number 2 document. Yes.
yeah.
Have a
Well,
power of attorney for finances. Yeah.
yeah. So you need those two. Those are really important
Mhm.
documents to have. And you need to trust somebody. And
Yeah.
it's not always a family member. Sometimes there's a brother or a sister that has special needs. And what's going to happen with Billy? He's lived with you all his life.
Right. Yeah.
When you're no longer here to take care of Billy, who's now 65,
We gotta
um,
plan that out. Yeah.
what's the plan? So there's a lot to think about when you're having this meeting. But I think if you start with I respect your choices and
Okay.
I want you to have what you want, and I don't want to be the decision maker. I want you
Mhm.
to do that. And that could trickle down. That's where you start. And then you could trickle down to if you needed care in the home, mom or dad, what would you want? Would you want a caregiver to come in? Or would you
Mhm.
like to move to one of those really nice senior living that we just passed by coming to your house? There's so many options out there. And mom or dad is probably 80% of seniors want to stay in their own home.
Sure, sure. But
And I,
what do you do when it's looking to you like there's a real strong possibility that that's not possible? How do you
that's, yeah.
get that conversation going?
Ah, you're doing really well in your home right now, mom or dad. But let's go look at, and maybe only one a day. No, don't go look at two or three. You do your homework, find the research, find somebody that's given you advice, the best in your community that are affordable. You're going to want to know your parents' finances.
Finances, yeah.
That's
That's a
a
whole
friend of
other
mine
yeah.
wrote a whole book on that one. But so you want to tell them that you respect that they want to live in their own home and you're going to do everything you can to support them. But if in the future they needed to move, let's go look at some places now. It's not for now. We're just looking at them to see what you like and don't like. So you go and you have these tours and um, just maybe one, if the person has any dementia, I would say you're only going to look at one and
Yeah.
you've already decided that
You
this would be
yeah.
the one. And if mom or dad is, maybe mildly impaired or just getting frailer and needing support, I would let them choose from two or
A
three,
few. Uh-huh.
but not any more than that is too much. And
Uh-huh.
remember, you're not forcing them to make a choice. You're just
Yeah.
touring.
You're just going on a tour. These
And
are possibilities. Yeah.
exactly.
Someday in the future.
Yeah, or if you have a serious illness or you need more support, you have a
Right.
stroke, you have a hip fracture, and you can't manage your home anymore, we'll then know the one you like.
Yeah,
And
we'll have
that's
already figured it out and we'll be good to go.
and
Yeah.
it's your choice, not
And it's
my
your choice.
choice.
Right,
Yeah.
right, right. So, when we're talking about doing, observation and you observe something like, 25 bottles of bourbon or the pots and pans seem to be all scorched and somebody must be leaving the stove on or something is happening here. How, you're not going to say, "What the heck is going on here? We need to talk about this now." How do you
No.
the beginning of those kinds of conversations?
Yeah. It is never you should or what's going on, which is puts them in a defensive
Defensive.
position.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you always want to start with, "Hey mom, I've seen all of the pans have scorch marks on them and um I'm concerned. Are you leaving the stove on or is the stove needing some attention
Right.
because it's too hot?" What do you think's happening? And you don't know what kind of feedback you're going to get from mom. Often it's defensive, but when you say I should, and you just let her talk and
Hmm.
then go, oh, okay. I wouldn't go address it too much further, but you can later on in a couple of hours, you can say, you know, I was thinking about your cooking and those pans. How about if we had a cook come in just a couple of days a week and made it your favorite recipes with you? And then we put them in the freezer and put dates on them, and then you could put them in the microwave. Would that work for you?
Hmm.
So what you've done is you brought up the issue, you've let your mother or father respond with whatever way they are going to respond.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is that stove. Well, the next day you can say, well, let's get a stove repair person in here, but let's think about something else to be more supportive of you, because I know you're complaining about shopping. The weather's getting cold now. It could be snowy depending on where they live in Mount Diablo close to us.
Right.
Um, and we're having rain. So, again, seniors sometimes hesitate going out. And with the pandemic, some people are still self isolating. That's a whole other
Oh,
issue.
sure. Yeah.
Social isolation really affects people's cognition and feeling of safety when they're out and about. And the opposite is true. I hear from a lot of adult children that parents have some cognitive impairment, that mom or dad are going out, they're not using a mask, they're not washing their hands, they just don't get the protocols for living during this pandemic, now turning into an endemic. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
this might be with us for a while. So again, those are kind of safety issues too, Kirsten. You want to address those things that it looks like a potential fire risk, or you see some scorching on the cabinets as well
Oh,
as on the
yeah.
pots.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
then you,
That's really bad. Yeah.
that's really bad, is
Yeah.
right. And then you can check smoke alarms. Say, hey, while I'm here, I'll make sure all your smoke alarms are working. So there's a lot of things you can do to secure the safety. And speaking of the stove, there's technology that will turn off a stove in like 3 minutes. So you can scramble an
Oh,
egg, but you can't
but
get
you can't,
anything else done.
you
You're not
can't
going to
make
make
soup.
stew
Yeah.
or soup. Yeah, no,
Right.
you can do something quick.
Hmm.
And that's still not going to prevent a fire if somebody isn't available.
Sure. 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 So Linda, what about, people are traveling home, maybe long distances, and they can maybe stay for the weekend or they stay for the week, but they can't stay indefinitely. There's only so much you can accomplish in a short visit, and you've got to go back to your job, your family, your home. What do those children do to help their parents?
Well, I think you either can call a family meeting and get everybody on a Zoom call and think about the resources in that community, or or you could bring in a geriatric care
Yeah.
manager, and that's at aginglifecare.org.
Right.
And you put in your zip code. And I always suggest looking for somebody who's an advanced professional. If you haven't been given the name of somebody specifically, you
Hmm.
look for somebody that has a license connected with their name.
Okay.
They're a
Like
social
a
worker, they're a
licensed clinical
counselor,
social worker. Yeah.
mhm,
Yeah.
or a nurse.
Okay.
So that's who you want to look for. And you want to talk to, if you're in a more metropolitan area, couple, to find out, do they have the same approach as my parents? Are my parents going to be comfortable with this woman or this man? So you want to interview. And that person then can connect your parent to all the local resources, from the Rotary Home Team to help fix that little fence, or flip the mattress, or change the batteries in the smoke detectors.
Right. Yeah.
And
They're like the professional oldest daughter with a whole lot more
yeah,
resources available. They get in there and take care of so many different kinds of things.
yeah, get them to the elder law attorney, get them to the geriatrician, get a second opinion on something that's not being healing or going
Yeah.
away.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
They
they
are
could.
really valuable resources. And that's pretty much what we talked about in your first visit with me on the
Yeah.
podcast. So
Yeah.
listeners, if you want to know a little more about geriatric care managers, go back and listen to that episode. It was really great. Okay. So go ahead. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to talk about, you were talking about if you go home and you only had those few days,
Right.
to work
Yeah.
on these issues. And hopefully you have a conduit there in your parents' community that you can work
Right.
with. I had
Right.
a hard time finding one for my mother-in-law in Pennsylvania because where she lived was like 75 miles before
From
I
a
could,
big city.
from a
Yeah.
care manager for her.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah,
What did you
so
do? What did
I
you do?
my brother-in-law was a doctor in that town, and he found some private duty caregivers, and one was a retired nurse. So she
Okay.
was my link to
Okay.
make sure my mother-in-law was getting. It's a longer story than I have time to tell, but I do want to say that I do so many support groups and work with so many family caregivers over the years that self-care for you, adult child, or whoever. Sometimes it's a sister or brother or a niece or a nephew caring for an aging family member. So you want to make sure that you're having balance in your life. So I really suggest finding a support group where you live. If your
Hmm.
parent has a dementia, so it doesn't have to be that you're getting a support group where your parent does live. It's where you live. So you
Right.
can have a supported community to help you with these dilemmas and these challenges that become
Mhm.
pretty emotional and overwhelming too. And a
Yeah.
lot of adult children spend way too much time on mom care and start neglecting, and
They're
not,
paying
it's
the
not
price. Mhm.
not intentional, their own health,
Right.
their marriage, their children's needs.
Yeah.
So
That's a
um,
very that's just such a common theme through in this whole area. You've got to take care of yourself too. And
yeah,
so the child needs support, the parents need support, and you got to do both.
right.
So the book,
The
The
book,
Empowered Caregiver, let's
I can
hold
get
it up
it
there we go. The Empowered Caregiver. It is available on Amazon. Am
on
I right about
Amazon.
that?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yes.
And it's just like I said, it's got all kinds of things in there, resources, scripts. How do I have these conversations? Um, just
Yeah.
a really great resource. Thank you,
Yeah,
Linda.
how to deal with resistance, and every little chapter is very short, so it's the issue, some strategies, and an affirmation to keep you
Oh,
um, on a good path.
from losing
Losing it.
losing it. Yeah,
Yeah.
losing your courage, losing your stamina, losing your mind.
Yes, yes, yeah.
Okay, let's look and see about questions from our audience. Let's see. Uh, 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 uh. I'm sorry, I have to scroll backwards. Okay, here's the question. Have you seen families use technology to help with some of the problems that we've been discussing, like Alexa or monitoring devices?
Yeah, Alexa Show is great. You could set it up and you could just start talking to somebody that has dementia. So Alexa is a great, inexpensive way to stay in contact. And definitely during the pandemic, I was recommending that a lot for my clients that had families in assisted living and skilled nursing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And so there's so much technology. There are sensors that you could put like in the kitchen, the bathroom, the front door, and they will send you electronic message every time your parent goes into the refrigerator, every time they go out the front door,
Okay.
go to the bathroom, so you know that they're moving about and it's a normal routine of a day. Those are
Mhm.
very inexpensive as well.
Okay.
There's the technology of turning off a stove, there's the
Right. What you mentioned.
emergency response systems that push that say I've fallen and I need help. My watch, my Apple Watch does that as well, but
Oh.
it only says, "Can I send 911 to help you?" Push here.
Hmm.
The dog that knocked me over, and I got my watch telling me it wanted to take me to the ER. I had to tell the watch I was
I'm
okay.
okay. Don't send the paramedics.
Right.
I just
Yeah.
fell down.
Yes. And that's helpful, but it's not like the emergency response systems. And a lot of women are pretty vain and they don't want to wear those ugly things. Now
Sure.
there's beautiful jewelry,
Oh,
gold, look like a gold pendant
uh-huh.
that you can wear and touch, and nobody would.
Nobody knows what it is.
No,
Yeah,
no. So there's all kinds of technology, and a care manager can help you with that.
sure.
There are some websites that will help you with technologies for seniors too that you could search.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
good question.
Okay. Here we go. Do you have okay. Do you have advice for the parent who really should not be driving but won't give up the car keys?
Um, you
How do you deal with that
I
situation?
like to put that on the doctor. So to get the doctor involved, the doctor writes a prescription that says you may not drive anymore because of X. There's got to be a reason, not just because somebody is 92 years old. I've seen my
Oh,
mother
yeah.
was a great driver until she was 90 and had a stroke.
Mhm.
I'm a total great driver. Anybody in my family would go with her anywhere. Um, but other people shouldn't be driving at 50 probably.
Oh,
But
sure.
people with dementia in the state of California anyway, the doctors have to report them to when they diagnose Alzheimer's disease to the DMV, and then often their license is taken away. But even when the license is taken away, some people are quite smart and they will still
Sure.
continue to drive if
Crafty. Yeah,
the
they're crafty.
car is there. The Hartford Insurance Company, you could look this up on Google, has a couple of brochures that they'll send out free of how to deal with taking the car keys away. Here in Contra Costa County, we have driving evaluation at John Muir Hospital from occupational therapists that will say, "Mom, I'm really concerned about your I'm concerned, right? And not
Right,
you
right, right.
should.
Not you should. Right.
I'm concerned about your driving. Let's go get you evaluated to make sure you're a safe driver still." And
Yeah.
I think you can get a discount on your insurance if you
If
pass
we
as a safe
pass. Oh,
driver. So you sometimes have to, I call them therapeutic fiblets, have a little fiblet to get you that next step.
mhm, mhm.
I've had clients that I've had to have the security in a retirement community called Rossmore in our area take the car away from the
Oh, yeah.
lady, and then the police department got a phone call from her every single day that
But
somebody
her
stole
car
her
was
car,
stolen.
but it
Oh,
was the security department. So, and she got lost. She drove like 75 miles from
oh,
our area and was
didn't
picked
know
up
how to
by
get back.
police and
Yeah.
didn't know how to get back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And so there are lots of different ways to do those interventions. So those are a little bit of a few
Okay.
resources. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's very helpful, and I didn't know about that John Muir,
Driving
driving
away.
test. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's great. If you couch it just right, they want to go get tested, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Great. Well, Linda, thank you so much. You want to show the book one more time before we
Sure. If I can get
sign
it in
off?
front of the camera right
Yeah.
there. Can you see it?
Yes, we can. The Empowered
Okay.
Caregiver by
Okay.
my wonderful guest, Linda Fodrini-Johnson, and it's available on Amazon. Or yeah, and I highly, highly recommend it. This is just such a valuable resource, and
Great.
as are you, Linda.
Well, thank
I'm
you.
very glad we have you in our community, and I can call on you from time to time
You
for
can.
my audience. So thank you for
Sure.
being here today. I
Well,
really enjoyed it.
thanks. Thanks for having this show.
You are most welcome. And now we have our Ask Kirsten segment where listeners and anybody, you don't even have to listen if you don't want to, but write in with questions that they'd like to see or hear answered on the podcast. And if you have a question that you would like answered on the podcast, you send it to us at info@absolutetrustcouncil.com, and we will answer your question on the podcast if we can, if we get questions that I can answer. That's the first thing. So my question today is from Janice in Concord. And Janice writes, I'm doing a probate of my mother's estate, and she owns an undeveloped lot in Arizona. What do I do about that? That is a very interesting point. So the probate is a state court procedure, and the state of California has jurisdiction over all of the decedent's personal property, which is money, stock, furniture, and their real estate located in the state of California. The California court does not have jurisdiction over that Arizona lot. So what that means is if you're doing a probate in California, you're also going to do a probate in Arizona. It's called an ancillary probate. So the main probate is in California. You've got to open up some kind of a probate in whatever state you have real estate in, and go through their process, which might be very different from our process. I'm not going to try to guess what it's like to do a probate in Arizona because I don't do that. But yeah, you're going to have multiple probates, which is a really good reason why if you own real estate here or in another state or both, set up a trust so you don't have to do that. Okay, thank you, Janice. That's a great question. We don't often have ancillary probates, but once in a while we do. And so now you know, listeners. All right, and thank you all for being here today. I hope you got a lot out of it, and I know I did, and I look forward to connecting with you next time.
Thank you for joining us today for another episode of Absolute Trust Talk Live. If you enjoyed listening in, then don't forget to subscribe. You can find us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you may listen by searching Absolute Trust Talk. While you're there, we would also love for you to leave us a review. And then why not share your favorite episodes with family, friends, or colleagues too? You can find all of our shows and corresponding show notes by visiting absolutetrustcouncil.com. You'll also find a variety of other free resources, including our ebooks, videos, blogs, presentations, and more. If you need help with your estate planning or administration, we also offer a free discovery call to help get the process started. You can find more information on booking your session by visiting absolutetrustcouncil.com/scheduling. Don't forget to keep an eye out for our next live episode in 2 weeks. If you join us for the broadcast, you can submit questions during the show. But if not, don't worry. You can always get in touch with us by sending a quick message to info@absolutetrustcouncil.com. Thanks again for listening. We'll see you soon.